I wake up in a world where night is falling, but I'm not afraid of the dark. I walk not alone through the valley of the shadow, for love is alive in my heart. Love is alive in my heart. Love is alive. Love is alive. Love is alive in my heart. Love is alive. Love is alive. Love is alive in my heart. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid of the dark. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid of the dark. We are not afraid of the dark. We are not afraid of the dark.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. It's a beautiful day, and we're not afraid of the dark.
Amen.
Literally and figuratively. That's Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin, you just heard, one of my favorite artists. I always say that, but it's true. And so we are Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. Those of you that are meeting us online in a live stream anytime from this moment on into the future, we're glad you're with us. And we are diving into a new theme. The theme for the year is Rising Higher, Diving Deeper. And for February, it's Radical Interconnection. Some of you think this is my last day. No, you can't get rid of me that easily. It's March 2nd. That's an important day for all of us because not only is it my last Sunday, is we're doing an annual meeting that day. And some of you might say, annual meeting there, 2 hours. No, it's going to be the shortest annual meeting in the history of Center for Spiritual Living. Quick, and then we're going to have a potluck for those of you that can't come to the party, so we're going to start celebrating. And the big party is March 6th, so hope you can all come. We have flyers, get your tickets. It's in Bridgewater at Hills of Herat, lovely Afghanistan restaurant, and I'm getting excited. So I also want you to know that we have a sound bath today. If you did not sign up, we have no room for you. It's packed. So all tickets are sold. And maybe a few seated so we can kind of play it by ear. But if you did not register, that's why you need to register early so you can be sure to have a place. We can see what's happening if you want to stick around for that. And this coming Friday is the first Friday of the month. And what happens first Friday of the month?
Healing Circle.
Healing Circle with our beloved Gail Belluardo. So that happens at 7 o'clock right in here in the house. And next Sunday we have Bill Stone doing part 2 of Dream Interpretations. The first one was awesome. So you might want to come to that. It's a love offering. And so I want to start today with the Namaste practice.
You were going to say what it is first?
Oh yeah, Namaste practice. Namaste is the Sanskrit and it means the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So you're going to put your hands together and do a bow, but
Wow. Wait.
And when it really works well, you mirror the divinity within each other, back and forth. And for those of you that read Science of Mind magazine, which we have a few up here to sell, there is a beautiful quote from Talib Kweli, and it says, "I can't see my own face without a reflection, whether it be your reaction to my expression, a mirror, or water. I need the outside to see the inside, which is where I reside. Through this understanding, I know all things are one." And so from this understanding, I invite you to recognize the divinity within each other.
Namaste. 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 And by the way, we have a few of these t-shirts left. I would love to see all of you wear these every day, wherever you go, not just in your house, but when you go out, and people will notice. They're going to notice, got joy? And they're going to ask you, and you're going to have to say something. The good news is you don't have to explain the Science of Mind teaching. You can just say, I'm part of a spiritual community that just fills my heart and soul, where I connect to myself and to life and to spirit. I mean, tell them how you feel when you come here and have the same smile on your face, right? So they're in the back, and Science of Mind magazine as well, as Lori said. So let's do an opening treatment, our word for affirmative prayer. So right here, right now, I celebrate all the glorious reflections. I celebrate the beauty of life making itself known in everything, everywhere, all the time, and especially in everyone I meet. And I'm so grateful that I'm exposed to a teaching that says when it isn't so, I know what to do within my own consciousness, where there's the only place where I can truly make a difference. And then that I get to extend into the world by being a loving, healing, powerful presence. By being an example of what it means to be on the spiritual path, to trust our lives, knowing that our lives are maybe not always fun, but they're perfectly conducive for our own spiritual evolution, and that we have the tools. What a blessing to have the tools and to be able to use them, and to know that when they're difficult to use, there is so much support. And so today we open our minds, our hearts, our bodies, and our souls to the glorious experience of life at hand, trusting the divine evolution that is happening by means of each and every one of us, for ourselves and each other. And so that is worthy of a celebration. And so it is.
And so it is.
So Laurie is assisting today, as you can tell. That was fun. She said, "Do you want to wear our pants?" Because I happen to have the same one. She made sure I did. And I'm like, I don't know. I already ironed my outfit. It's ready to go. But I'm willing to. So we're having fun with this. All right. So February, a lot is happening. It's a really big month. You know, you're all really settled in your resolutions. And I learned that most people's resolution are down the toilet by Martin Luther King Day, but that's why I'm joking. But the word February comes from the Latin februa, which means to cleanse. So it's considered to be a month of healing, cleansing, and let that sink in. Let that sink in for a moment. I want you to really listen to what else is happening at this time of year, and to see if for you there is a common thread. Because not only is it February and it's a representation of cleansing, it's also called Imbolc today. Imbolc is the ancient Celtic pagan celebration of the goddess Bridget. And it's exactly, on the wheel of the year, it's exactly between winter solstice and spring equinox. So for those of you that can't wait, we're halfway there. And even Puxatani Phil said that there are 6 more weeks of winter. That's kind of where that's connected, right? And so Imbolc, the goddess Bridget, is a goddess of healing, poetry, fire. She's pretty broad, right? Fire. And while we're while she's being celebrated, it's really about saying, you know, spring is coming. The worst of winter is over. And it's all about transformation and healing and creativity. So here we have cleansing February, Imbolc, healing, transformation. And then it's the Lunar New Year. It's the year of the wood snake. Yes, and the wood snake represents harvest, procreation, spirituality, good fortune. But on the opposite side, because in Chinese teachings there's always the both and, there is this idea of a threat, terror, evil. And so then there is the theme for the year, for the month through Centers for Spiritual Living, which is radical interconnection. Do you notice the theme yet? Anybody hear a theme? Hear a thread? Change. That's right. Barbara, you listened. Yes, it's change. And what do we say in our teaching? There's nothing constant but
Change.
And we hate it. We don't like it. A new president, a new season, new food, new people, new relationships, or old ones gone, right? We don't like change. And especially in the world we live in today, we like stability, we like peace, we like calm, we like quiet because we're so overstimulated. And so change is challenging, and yet it's constantly happening. And when we don't embrace change as an aspect of our own evolution, our own transformation, our own healing, we're going to get stuck. Hence, Groundhog Day. I'm going to talk about the movie in a moment. The thread really is, or the invitation really is, to just be present with what is. And to not fight it, and to not argue with it, and to not be anxious about it, and to not worry about it, but to stand in the solid center of our being and be open and receptive to what is ours to be, ours to heal, ours to do, ours to understand, ours to see, because we are on a spiritual path, or you wouldn't be here. If you love spirituality, if you're on a spiritual path, if you're a spiritual practitioner, which is, I assume, all of you, if you call yourself a spiritual person, you are being called to higher grounds now in a way like never before. The good news is you've trained for this already. You've done maybe 1 or 2 treatments or more. You've taken a couple of classes. You've read a few books. You've taken some workshops. You've worked with a practitioner. You've been training for this and everything that's happening in the world. And so each of us have been called to higher ground and to stand in that place of truth. Is it easy? I don't know about you, but it's not easy for me. Some days it's easier than others. But it says life is informing us on what is ours to then still let go of, heal, learn, embrace, all those things that we are being told constantly. So the message of all these things that are happening right now is to be present. To be present with it, to notice what you notice, to feel what you feel, and to make a few choices, and to make a few decisions on what needs to happen within you to be a healing presence in the world right now, because we're needed. And all that without judgment and shame. Because when I sit in those seats and I'm listening to somebody else, sometimes my interpretation says, well, you're not doing it right, or you're not doing it enough, or you're not doing it good enough. That is something we have to let go of as well, because it represents a belief in lack. And that shows up everywhere, not just in a thought. It then shows up everywhere, right? So the theme really is that there's only one life, there's only one thing happening, there's only one truth, there's only one wisdom, there's only one love. And so we always go for the bigger story. No matter what's happening in our lives, we're present with it, we allow it, we experience it, we become more aware about it, we make choices and decisions, but we also realize that there's a bigger story happening. The bigger story is the story of your soul's evolution. The bigger story is the spiritual story that's from a bird's eye view, outside the parameter of effect and form. And so I'm going to come back to one of my favorite movies, Groundhog Day. How many of you have seen Groundhog Day?
More than once.
Yeah, more than once, me too. It's a great movie, right? And most people have heard of it or have seen it. Bill Murray was amazing in it. Andy McDowell was amazing in it. You know that movie came out over 30 years ago? It kind of came out when I came to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. And it's still very rich because I love to look at everything from a metaphysical perspective because everything has a metaphysical meaning for me, right? So when we look at the metaphysical perspective, it takes on a whole different meaning. And I have to look at my notes because I sat with this for a while and I want to be really clear. So Phil, the main character, was what? What was his job?
To predict.
He was a weather forecaster, yes. And at a local station, and he was sent to Punxsutawney, how do you say it? Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and he was horrified. A little shit town, I'm being sent there. He had a very big ego, and he hated that he was being sent there. So he's being sent there, and what happens with the weather?
He's stuck.
There's a blizzard. There's a massive blizzard, and he is stuck, and he is angry, and he is frustrated. He's a very egocentric person. He's very depressed. He's actually suicidal, and he is not happy. Metaphysically, it's a story of transformation. Anybody here ever not been happy? Depressed, sad, struggled, had a spiritual crisis, had to do something you didn't really want to do, right? It's our story, right? And so he was really, really stuck. And so when he got trapped, he was given the opportunity to heal that, to deal with that, every single day. So every day he would wake up and it was the exact same day. There was also a girl in the picture, Andy McDowell, that he had a crush on, but he was very, what shall I say, disgusting about that. Because all he could think about was getting the girl, having sex with her, and he did not really see her as a human being, but that changed as well because she became an instrument. The divine feminine showed up in a healthy way and awakened him. And in his awakening, he really was just given an opportunity to make changes and to do things a little better every day, to be more respectful to people in the town, to be more kind to people that were maybe struggling, to be more helpful to the people who were struggling, to have a little more compassion. Talk about a story of transformation, right? So he actually makes a decision. He makes a decision to learn, to grow, to heal, to be a better person, to be of service, and to love. It's the story that is really our story. It's a story of mindlessness to mindfulness. It's the story moving from selfishness to selflessness. It's the story of just being miserable and feeling like a victim and blaming everybody for the misery to taking full responsibility and making change. That's the invitation for all of us. Anybody here ever felt stuck in life? Of course, you know. Are there things in your life that feel like repetitive loops that you really love and that you're happy about? Anything?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Seeing you on Sunday.
Seeing you on Sunday.
Having a warm bed.
Having a warm bed. I'm with you. Crawling in my bed every night. Oh, I'm so happy.
Going to the gym.
Going to the gym.
My first cup of coffee.
That first cup of coffee. Absolutely.
The sunshine when I wake up.
Sunshine when you wake up. There's so many things. These are really important things for us to think about and be grateful for because they nourish us. What about some of the loops where you're stuck in your mind? What are some of the things that you worry about regularly, think about, judge, feel victimized around? Now we're going to get honest. So what are some of those things that you get stuck in when you struggle? What are the thoughts? What are the beliefs?
Paying the taxes on my house.
Paying taxes on your house.
Not enough time.
Not enough time, not enough money, not enough love. That lack thing is really big, and it's the most powerful spiritual crisis that we get to transform. What else?
Get it right.
I can't get it right.
Not good enough.
Not good enough.
Politics.
Politics.
Survival.
Survival.
Regret.
Regret. Yes. Right? So those loops are your fill self, stuck in a blizzard, miserable and depressed. Remember that in the community meeting last week, I shared what is the longest definition in the Science of Mind textbook in the back by Ernest Holmes? Who remembers?
Repression.
Repression. Repression and depression is the longest definition in the Science of Mind textbook by Ernest Holmes in the back. Read it, because it talks about how we choose, not always consciously, right, to depress our true self, our essential self, our creativity, our inherent health and well-being. It's the mind that does this, and we're not always aware of it. So we look at our lives and we say, oh, it's showing me something. What is it showing me? And what are the tools that I can use to transform that? And most of us have been given a lifetime to do that. That's why it's really important to not judge ourselves and to shame ourselves, because if we do, we will be stuck. That will keep us stuck. Makes sense, right? If I keep walking around with the belief that I'm not good enough, I'm going to be stuck in that belief, and life is going to prove it to me. See? Because victimization is one of the most powerful things that we must heal and transform, and we all have it. Whether it's based on our conditioning, our environment, how we were raised, what we experienced in the past, it's this very sneaky thing of pointing fingers and not even realizing it. I have definitely noticed that in politics, in some of you, and myself. Right? Is this thing of saying, well, they are, he is, she is, and not being willing to say, oh, wait, it's a reflection of my consciousness. What is mine to heal and to do and to see and to understand? And I'm not saying that that's easy. It's actually easier to point fingers, right? But it's really about saying, how can I have a deeper, more powerful relationship with myself? And that's the self with the small s and the self with a capital S. They often feel separate, right? And so that's why we do our spiritual practices, so they really become one and we see and understand them as one. In the Science of Mind magazine, which is now 2 months at a time, there's a wonderful article by a woman that I've loved forever since I've been in this teaching, and I never met her. Terry Cole Whitaker. She passed away in October last year. A beautiful being, a beautiful soul. And the first thing I ever heard that she said that has been a mantra for me ever since, so this probably happened 40 years ago, is what you think of me is none of my business. It's a really powerful one. What you think of me is none of my business. You know how often we walk around worrying what people think? We want them to be what we want them to be. We want them to love us. It's none of our business. I was raised in a family where what was drilled into me for years, what are people going to think? what are people gonna think? Until I got to the place of, it's none of my business. It doesn't matter. What matters is what I think about me, right? And so when I heard her say that, it blew my mind. And then I learned that she wrote a book with that title. So if any of you need to dig deeper into that saying, there's a book. She says, the article is really wonderful. She talks about, let me just read this. After all is said and done concerning my closest relationships, including family, friends, students, and business associates, the keystone for all relationships is the one I have with myself. For when I know and I am who I am, not a manufactured identity that I must promote and defend, then I know and respect who you are authentically and not the false identity. She says, we are pleasure seekers because our divine nature is a supreme pleasure, an inner state of being that can only accessed in each moment of now, and unified in loving embrace with our beloved self, the self of every self. Beloved self is capitalized, and then the self, capital S, of every self, small s. So I want to repeat that line. We are pleasure seekers because our divine nature is supreme pleasure, an inner state of being that can only be accessed in each moment of now, and unified in loving embrace with our beloved self, the self of every self. That's what namaste is, right? And then she says, all my problems came from believing that I wasn't good enough. Me too. Believing the thoughts flowing through my mind or believing the words of others as true when words are never truth. You and I are truth, not words. Knowing the distinction between you, the mind, and body is most important. The illusion is believing you are the mind and body rather than you have been using a mind and a body for this reality. We've been given a mind and a body so that we can have a deeper understanding of our divine reality and give it life, give it expression. Because we don't have to get it, earn it, buy it, it's already there, right? So that's our inner work. And our inner work and our outer work is really needed now. And maybe some of you do it in tiny ways. I do simple kindnesses, being out in the world. And maybe some of you do bigger things and you're social activists and you're involved politically. Good for you, because we need you as well. But it's important that we have our inner work and our outer work. It's not one or the other. And to remember that there is no room for shame or judgment for ourselves or anyone else. But to just keep listening. Keep listening to your heart and soul, what it's mine to do, what it's mine to be. The good news is you already know. You already know. You already know. You just think you don't know. You believe you don't know, but you already know. And it requires a deeper listening. Our lives are such great teachers and such great messengers. All the time, life is constantly showing us what's going on, what we're thinking, what we believe, what we need, what we're asked to do, how we're asked to show up. Because there are no coincidences, and there are no accidents, there are no mistakes. That's the spiritual truth. And we're never victims, ever. We're always victorious. The fact that we're sitting here, standing here, means that we have overcome so much. You have overcome so much. You have already grown so much. You've already learned so much. You've experienced so much. Honor that, acknowledge that, and realize that it's still all there for you to support you and to guide you. So just like Phil in Groundhog Day, Even in the midst of the crises, we can choose something different. We can choose something new. And that then becomes our spiritual work. That then invites us to bring more balance to our lives. There's always room for that, right? Not from a place of there's not enough, but from a place of I'm here to be who the universe made me to be. There's room for more grace. And then we have the practices. What are some of your favorite spiritual practices?
Meditation.
Meditation,
Affirmations.
affirmations,
Music.
music,
Exercise.
exercise. How is that a spiritual practice?
Because when I'm doing it, I'm doing my little mantras when I'm doing it.
There you go.
Going, I love me.
There you go. Yes, to do your spiritual practices while you're exercising is great.
Yeah.
Your body hears that, by the way. You know the difference between I'm such a fat slob and I can't do anything, saying I am whole, I am perfect, I'm complete, and I love my body, and it's a big difference, right? Get that? What else?
Reading.
Breathing. Reading or breathing?
Reading.
Reading.
Both.
Both. Breathing.
Reading.
What else?
Spiritual mind
See.
treatment.
Spiritual mind treatment.
Poetry.
Seeing. I like looking at the trees and the
Seeing
ground,
beauty.
seeing,
Yes, really looking, really
really
seeing.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have our favorite things that nourish us, right? And so this month, February, this day, Groundhog Day, Imbolc, right? This month, Black History Month, I forgot to mention that, right? Black History Month is so powerful. I'm purposely reading books by Black authors that truly nourish my soul. And then there's, what do you say, Imbolc, Black History Month, radical interconnection, knowing that there's only one life. All those things come together and we get to say, you know, what challenges me? And we either accept it and love ourselves through that, or we say it's time to make a shift. So let me begin by spiritual practices because that's my training for what's next. Because each of us is really needed in the world to be doing that healing work and to being that healing presence. Not perfectly, because each of us are unique individualized expressions of the one, so we each get to do it differently. And we get to celebrate it. Instead of thinking it's not enough, just say, there's room for more. And so now we're going to hear some music, and you're all invited to sing. It's really easy. It's one of our mantras. It's the words of Dr. Ernest Holmes. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And I may have done it in the wrong order, but we all get to sing along to it. Oh, by the way, before I sit down, I also want to remind you, besides the healing circle that we have a men's group. Now, our men's group has been meeting for 23 years. Talk to Vern if you want to go to that. It's online, Men Who Care, and it's every first Saturday of the month at 8:30. So talk to Vern if you would like to be a part of that. I forgot that announcement. Okay, all right, let's sing. Okay. Okay, give me a moment. All right, I can't find it, so I'm going to do the same song in a different way.
there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. Life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. Life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now.
Good morning. Wasn't this fun today? Reverend Frankie and I mirroring each other. So there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. So there are times in our life when repetition is powerful and good, right? We repeat that so that it becomes a mantra in our minds, so that we bring it deeper into ourselves, so that we have a greater understanding of it. That's how mantras work, right? That's how chanting works. That's why we sing along with those same words, because we are repeating them for a beneficial purpose, to expand our consciousness, to really cement that in. to who and what we are. But repetition is not always a good thing, right? Look at Groundhog Day. When you're stuck in an old repetitive pattern, whether it be thought or behavior or opinion or an idea, whatever you are stuck in is a negative repetition. But guess what? We are always at the point of choice. That's what this teaching tells us, right? We have a choice. We can choose a different thought. We can choose a different thought, which creates a different action, which creates a different reality. That's the law of cause and effect, right? So we get to make that choice at every moment. Like Phil, you get to wake up every day and choose to be a little kinder. You get to wake up every day and choose to see the world differently. So we're going to do a little meditative practice, one of our spiritual tools, just to help guide us to do that. So I invite you, if you are comfortable doing so, to just close your eyes. Just take a breath and settle into this moment right here, right now. And I want you to let go of everything you have to do later, any feelings you have about there being another 6 weeks of winter to come. Just be present. And as you do that, as you take a breath and become present, see if you can bring into your awareness some place where you are stuck. What is it in your life that repeats or replays over and over? Maybe it's, I'm not good enough. Maybe it's like, I'm always late. There's never enough time. Whatever it is, I want you to really bring that into your awareness. And it may have served you at one point. We have these repetitive patterns because we've used them for so long, but we can make new neural pathways. We can make a different choice. We can choose to let that go. But I want you to take a few breaths and really feel what it feels like in that place of stuckness. How does it feel when you repeat that old thought in your mind? How does it feel when you repeat that same action over and over again? Is this where you want to live? Because it's not necessary. We get to choose something different. We get to choose to pause. I'm going to invite you to think of a pause button, like the snooze on an alarm clock. And whenever a negative or repetitive pattern of thought comes into your mind, someplace that you are stuck, hit that snooze button. Just say, nope, not now. And replace it with a different thought. A kinder thought. A more compassionate thought. A more empowering thought. The pause is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. When you can pause, you can change anything. You can change how you react. You can change the pattern of your thinking. So whenever one of those repetitive things pops up, just see yourself hitting that snooze button. It's gonna pop up again. But you don't have to react to it. You can choose to pause it, to snooze it, say no thank you. So for me, when that thought, I'm not good enough, pops up, I'm going to hit that button and say, nope, today I know that I am good enough. Because I am one with the divine. There's only one life, and we are all participating in that life. And we have the power and ability to make different choices that make change. Reverend Frankie said the one thing that is always true is that change is going to happen. And a lot of us shy away from that. But if you can see it as the evolution, every time you pause that habitual thought, you are evolving into your greater yet to be, into a different experience. And what would that feel like? Take a breath and breathe into your body what it would feel like if your different thought was your reality. Breathe into the pause and allow for a different possibility. This is the energy you get to bring to the world. This is how you create the transformation that Groundhog Day movie addresses. You get to hit the pause on whatever is keeping you stuck. And then bringing in awareness of compassion and non-judgment and just choosing to let it go. Replacing it with a thought that serves you. And then that leads to an action that serves you. And that leads to a reality that serves you. So I want you to just take a few breaths and really feel the infinite possibility available when you choose to pause instead of sitting in your stuckness. Choose to pause and replace that patterned thought with a new thought, which will become your pattern. If you do it enough, it will become easier and easier. And you will find that you have to hit that snooze button less and less often. Because every time that you use the power of choice to make a change, you are creating a different pathway. You are creating the future. You are creating your life. So what life do you want? I know I'm keeping my hand hovering above that pause button. I'm going to choose to pause, to snooze that negative thought, pause, and choose a different thought. And now, the repetitive thought that we are all going to implant is going to be gratitude. Because we are grateful for understanding that we have a choice. We are grateful for knowing that we can change, as much as we may not want to at times. But if gratitude becomes your habitual pattern, I promise you, you will have joy. Got joy? Gratitude is where you'll find it. And so just taking a few breaths into that place of gratitude, into that feeling of gratitude for this teaching, for this community, for this practice today. And now we've changed any kind of harsh alarm sounding on our snooze button to the beautiful harmonic sounds of a singing bowl like Kat is going to be blessing us with later. So now every time you hit that snooze button, it's not cacophonous and awful. It's a beautiful melodic sound that invites you into a new experience so that you want to hit that button because it's beautiful and welcoming and empowering. So, I invite you to take another breath there. And just feel that gratitude as you slowly and gently open your eyes and come back to the room, knowing that you have that pause button in your back pocket anytime you need it. Learn to use it. And so now, from this place of deep gratitude for all that we have here, it is time for our offering. So I invite you to give to the place that fills your soul. To give from that place of gratitude, from that place of abundant joy. To give from that place of knowing that there is a law of circulation that as you give, so you receive. So I'm going to pass the basket. You can also give in many other ways. You can give by signing up for social hour. There is no one signed up for next week. So I'm going to pass this, and you can sign up for social hour. You can give by bringing someone to our center. You can give by sharing your gifts here. There are so many ways to give. We also have PayPal and Venmo. We have Reverend Frankie always uses text to give. I use the website. So there are many ways to give, but I invite you to give, truly give from your heart. Put that pause button on anything that says I don't have enough to give, and give from that knowing that we are all full of abundant joy. That's who and what we are here, right? So I invite you to all join with me in repeating this affirmation. My gift goes forth.
My gift goes forth
To bring joy.
to bring joy,
To bring abundance.
to bring abundance
To my community.
to my community,
To everyone around me.
to everyone around
And
me,
back to me.
and back to me.
Because that's how the law works.
And that's how the law works.
And so it is. So, I think we are just going right into the closing treatment, right? All right, well, so I am very blessed and grateful to be leading you in our closing prayer treatment, which is our word for a spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So it is not praying to a God outside of ourselves, but it is knowing that we are all one, and that divinity is within each of us, and that we get to today mirror that back to each other. We get to know our oneness. There's only one life. That life is
God's life.
That life is
Perfect.
That life is
My life now.
There you go. So, from this place, let's just know this truth. That as there is only one, we are each unique expressions of that one. And we get to make changes and make choices that create a greater atmosphere of love in the world. Rising higher and growing deeper. We get to make these choices today. And I affirm for each one here that you go forth empowered to embrace change, to get out of any stuckness, to move in the world in a way of love and compassion, because, like as Reverend Frankie says, the world needs that now more than ever. But I know that each one here and each one listening expresses that love in such a way that it just uplifts the whole world. It goes forth into that one mind and is divinely expressed as good, as joy, as love. And so whether it be a small smile to a stranger, or laughter with a friend, or letting someone cut in online, whatever it is, we embrace the opportunity to show up as love. And I know that we live in a place of gratitude. I am grateful to know that as a community, we are grateful. And we are embracing the changes that are coming. We are embracing change because we are at choice. And we choose to embrace change, to grow, to evolve into the greatest next yet to be. And so with deep gratitude and grace, I lovingly, joyfully, and gratefully release this word into that law that does unto us as we believe. And since we believe there's only one life, and we are all a part of that one life, I know that all is well. And so I simply let it be. And I invite you to all join me in saying,
And so it is.
and now I invite you to all sing again. Right, Reverend Peggy?